Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmanitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Kritam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Utreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Benedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanaruttamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhatya Vihina Paradalakshay Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitam Sharanam Papana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay. So we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto our exalted Diksha Guru, Sri Nityalila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhayachan Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and to our beloved Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Sri Nityalila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga. Having a little trouble with our connection with our Discord group. My computer says voice is going. I don't know. Anybody else not hearing? He said he couldn't hear, and then I hit something to make sure that it was recording or sending. In any case, write down if you can hear or not hear. Madhuri can hear. All right, so we're going to continue hearing about the glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And we finished the 11th chapter of the Madhukanda yesterday, and so today we're starting the 12th chapter, which has a lot of different pastimes, wonderful, sweet pastimes that give joy to the hearts of the Vaishnavas. Let me just set this one thing up so I can keep seeing if any messages are coming. Okay. Sorry for all of this. All right. So, text 1. Jaya Vishwambara Sarva Vaishnavaranata Bhakti Diya Jive Prabhu Kora Atmasat. All glories to Vishwambara, the Lord of all Vaishnavas. O Lord, please bestow your devotional service on the living entities and deliver them. Okay. Hena Lila Nityananda Vishwambara Sange Navadvipe Duijane Kori Bahurange. In this way, Lord Nityananda and Lord Vishwambara enjoyed various pastimes in Navadvip, recounting what had been spoken in the previous chapter. Krishna Nande Alokika Nityananda Rai Niravati Balakira Prayavyavasai. Lord Nityananda was fully absorbed in transcendental, ecstatic love for Krishna. Yet, he constantly behaved like a young boy. So, the purport is by Saraswati Prabhupada, whose disappearance day is tomorrow. So, we're fortunate. We are getting in the mood of reverence, respect, and appreciation for him by hearing his beautiful commentary on this Leela of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So he says, persons who are intoxicated by material happiness do not possess any information about the happiness derived from Krishna's service. Since Lord Nityananda was fully intoxicated by ecstatic love for Krishna, he constantly displayed the characteristics of a small boy. People who are intoxicated by material enjoyment deviate from the principle of simplicity by taking shelter of worldly deceit. Such material conceptions were never found in the characteristics of Nityananda. So, that's a very straightforward statement, but very deep, contrasting Lord Nityananda's activities with our own. He says, why are we not internally absorbed like he? People who are intoxicated by material enjoyment. So to whatever degree we still have attachments for material enjoyment, and I'm not sitting here in judgment because the entire universe is filled with conditioned souls. How long have we been here? But the path forward, upward, outward, is to recognize, right, the impediments, to that spiritual progress. And the impediments are the self-identification with the body, the mind, intelligence, and those things connected with it, and our attachments to the pleasure of the body, the mind, and the intelligence, and for those who surround us, right? That is called an intoxication with material enjoyment. And to whatever extent we have that, we're deviating from the principle of simplicity. Simplicity means I live my life only for the service of Bhagavan and Bhagavan's devotees. Simple life. It's not encumbered with any other things, no other necessities. The only things I need are those things which assist me in my service, right? And anything other than that, we can try to fool ourselves, but it's called deceit, right? Kuti nati. It's duplicity, hypocrisy. Very harsh words, but actually it's the reality. Now, our spiritual masters are very merciful, very kind, very compassionate, very encouraging. But, Saraswati Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada called him, he said he had like iron fist and a velvet glove. He could be hard as a thunderbolt and soft as a rose. Very compassionate, very gentle, very encouraging when that was appropriate. And for those who can take it, the absolute truth without any sugarcoating, right? So to whatever degree we're intoxicated by material enjoyment, we're taking shelter of worldly deceit, right? And when we use those things and try to assign those activities to bhakti, at least we're trying for bhakti, but that is called aropa siddha bhakti. It's taking our own material pleasures and then offering them to Krishna. That's better than not. It's better than not. But it's not pure bhakti by any means. It's aropa siddha bhakti. It's on the way. And it's still mixed with worldly deceit. Now we see Nityananda Prabhu performing all these extraordinary pastimes, and the verse says alokika, like appearing like worldly, human-like pastimes. But it's only human-like because, like it says in the Bible, God made man in his own image, right? So we have these forms that appear to be like the forms in the spiritual world, but our forms are made of matter, very complex matter, very complex, extraordinary engineering, but they're not pure spiritual forms made of Satchit Ananda. And so our activities only dimly reflect the activities of pure spiritual personalities. What to speak of the activities of Lord Nityananda? He had no material conceptions. Right? So, Sabare Dekiya Prita Madhura Sambas Apana Apani Nritya Vadyagitahas. Nityananda spoke sweetly with everyone he saw. He engaged in dancing, singing, playing musical instruments, and laughing. Sometimes he roared loudly out of his own ecstasy. Hearing his roar, everyone became struck with wonder. This is the nature. He is the Bhagavat, right? The Lord of all Mahabhagavats. Our great acharyas are also Mahabhagavat, right? Either Kaya Vyuha, eternal associates of Lord Nityananda, or Sadhansita, perfected jivas who reflect and have those same qualities. When they are expressing their ecstasies, everyone is struck with wonder. Everyone is moved. The hearts are stirred and enlivened, right? And sometimes we're also struck with wonder. So, what did he do? Varshate gangaye deu kumbire veshtita tahate basaye tila deke nahibita. During the rainy season, the waves of the Ganga were full of crocodiles. Yet Nityananda fearlessly floated in those waters. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says that during the rainy season, many crocodiles were seen in the river. Nityananda did not even for a moment become afraid to play in the waters of such crocodile-infested river. Now, you've seen those things, on YouTube or something, these films in Africa, where these rivers are filled with crocodiles and all these herds of animals are trying to get across, right? And they're all roaring to get across, and then you see this crocodile coming over and they're grabbing it and pulling it under, right? Or sometimes you even see a film of villagers. There's some villages in Africa where the villagers, you see, once in a while you see one with no arm, missing a hand, right? Because it's very dangerous to go to these places. They have to go, just like the animals, to get water for drinking, for washing cloth, and they're always on the lookout, but these crocodiles are very sneaky, and they're very powerful. But Lord Nityananda wasn't afraid in the least. On seeing him floating, people became frightened and exclaimed, "Alas, alas!" But Nityananda smiled and continued to float. Nityananda floated in the Ganga in the mood of Ananta. Not understanding his glories, everyone lamented, "Alas, alas." Everyone had love and attachment for Lord Nityananda. They couldn't necessarily understand his exalted position, so they were feeling fear for him, and that's part of his purpose as well. He's enjoying this wonderful pastime, but he's also evoking emotions of attachment from ordinary people, which are purifying, which are wonderful. Oh, you're concerned about Lord Nityananda. That's very wonderful. Saraswati Prabhupada says, Lord Ananta eternally lies down in the causal ocean. In the same mood, Nityananda floated in the Ganga by way of swimming. Those who did not know his glories became filled with anxiety, which is good. They had affection for him. They were worried for him. It's a wonderful thing. Anande murchitava hayena konna shana tina chari divaseo nahaya chaitana. Sometimes he lost consciousness due to ecstatic love and did not regain consciousness after 3 or 4 days. Yeah, Ananda Murchit, right? This loss of consciousness. 3 or 4 days he would be absorbed like that. What were the people thinking, his associates? Oh, will he ever be back? Some of them may have understood that he's internally absorbed in transcendental ecstasy, but their fear, oh, he may never come back to us. What are we to do? Right? Again, exciting the love of his devotees. Daive ek dina jata Prabhu Vashe Ache, Ailena Nityananda Ishvarena Kache. By providence, one day, Nityananda came before the Lord while he was sitting. In the mood of a child, Nityananda had no clothes on. He constantly smiled, and tears of love flowed from his eyes. Once again, completely unaware. Like avaduts, as we mentioned the other day, like Shukadeva Goswami, like certain sages in the forest, completely unaware of the external world and completely internally absorbed. And the commentary, as needy boys always cry to express their misery, Lord Nityananda, in an opposite mood, always joyful, smiled and shed tears of love. Sometimes his clothes would loosen. As a result, his childish sweetness contradicted the principle of shyness. Right, and actually this symptom of loosening clothes, you see this in confidential writings. The gopis' clothes would loosen when they would, in certain moods of ecstasy. We have songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lord Shiva dancing in ecstasy, his cloth falls down, right? This might happen, right? It's actually some kind of symptom where they're losing all connection with the external world. Lord Nityananda roared loudly and repeatedly proclaimed, Nimai Pandit of Nadia is my Lord. Moda Prabhu Nimai Pandita Nadiyara. Wow. On seeing Nityananda without any clothes on, the Lord laughed. The beautiful body of Nityananda was full of effulgence. Beautiful, effulgent. Oh, we hear these descriptions. We want to long for the day when we can see Lord Nityananda in his ecstasies, hearing his roaring, hearing his singing, seeing his beautiful smile, and that mood to render service, selfless service, may come in our heart. But we can do that because we have our Guru Varga, our Guru Parampara, who are the representatives of Lord Nityananda. So whatever attachment and joy we hear about Lord Nityananda, if we want to connect with him, we connect through his representatives, right? The Lord hurriedly took off the cloth from his own head and put it on Nityananda, who simply laughed. In India, they wear long turbans, right, with a lot of cloth. And that would be enough to make like a gamsha type of thing, right? So, purport, whenever Nityananda would take off his clothes out of ecstasy, Mahaprabhu covered Nityananda's body with a cloth that the Lord tied on his own head. By this action of Mahaprabhu, Nityananda smiled and expressed his childish nature. Apanele pila tana anga divya gande, sheshe malya paripurna dilena sri ange. Thereafter, the Lord smeared sandalwood paste on Nityananda's transcendental body and offered him a flower garland. The Lord offered Nityananda an asan to sit in front of him. Then the Lord offered prayers, while all the devotees attentively listened. So now Mahaprabhu is offering prayers to that Nityananda. Again, a lesson. Don't consider Nityananda an ordinary person. Mahaprabhu saw him as his superior in his mood as a devotee. Lord Nityananda saw Mahaprabhu as his superior, but it's a very beautiful relationship of love. Because Nityananda is older, right? And either his spiritual master was Lakshmi Pati or Madhavendra Puri. Either way, he is like the Param Gurudev of Mahaprabhu in that ordinary sense. So, Name, Mahaprabhu says, Name Nityananda Tumi, Rupe Nityananda, Ehi Tumi Nityananda, Rama Murti Manta. Your name is Nityananda, and your form is Nityananda, full of eternal bliss. You are directly Lord Balaram. Always remember that. Directly, Lord Balaram. Purport. While offering prayers to Nityananda, Mahaprabhu said, Your name is Nityananda, and your form is directly Nityananda, eternal bliss. The flow of bliss is never checked in you. You are directly Lord Balaram. In the Brihad Jamala, Lord Krishna speaks as follows. Balaramo mamai vangsha sopi tatra bhavishyati nityananda itu kato dhyasi chudamani shato. Sri Balaram, who is my expansion, will also appear in Navadvip as the crest jewel among the sannyasis and will be known as Sri Nityananda. So that prior reference. It is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5, verse 6, as follows. Ehi Krishna Navadvipe Sri Chaitanya Chandra Sehi Balarama Sange Sri Nityananda. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Payatana Bhojana Vebar Nityananda Vina Kichu Nahike Tomar. Mahaprabhu continues, your traveling, eating, and dealings are all full of eternal bliss. There is never any diminution in your enjoyment of eternal bliss. Purport, Sriman Mahaprabhu said, O Nityananda, there is no interruption of bliss in your traveling, eating, and all varieties of behaviors. So in other words, everything he's doing is an expression of the highest spiritual happiness, bliss. Ladini Shakti, he's immersed in that river of Ladini Shakti. No touch of material influence, material interest, material contamination. All, whatever it is you're doing, traveling, eating, all varieties of your behavior. Throwing food at Advaitacharya, criticizing him, chastising him, beating certain persons, all expressions of transcendental, eternal bliss. And anyone who is the recipient or favored by interaction with Nityananda Prabhu is the most fortunate. Tomare bhujite shakti manushyare kota paramasu satyatumi jatta krishna tata. How can human beings understand you? It is a fact that you are present wherever Krishna is. Right? How can we understand him? We can hear about him, and we can pray to understand him. We can certainly relish these pastimes. Purport, wherever Krishna is, you are also there. Just as Lord Krishna is eternal, you also constantly remain with him and are eternal. Since you are beyond the jurisdiction of human beings' material perception, which is under the three modes of material nature, they cannot understand you. So he's always with Krishna, just as Lord Balaram is always with Krishna in Vrindavan. Right? Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Vrindavana parityagya, napadam ekagachati. He never takes a step out of Vrindavan, nor does Lord Balaram. When we see Krishna or Baladev leaving Vrindavan or being in separation, this is Naimiktik Leela. Those are their expansions for pastimes, but their own persons are always in Uppercut Vrindavan, and Nityananda and Mahaprabhu are always together in Uppercut Navadvip, right? Shwetadvip. But they also have Naimiktik Leela going here and there outside of that for the purposes of showing pastimes for the upliftment of humanity. Right? So, Chaitanya Rase Nityananda Mahamati Yabalena Yekorena Sarvata Samati. The most magnanimous Nityananda is absorbed in ecstatic love for Lord Chaitanya. So whatever he speaks or does is always approved by the Lord. So whatever he's doing, the Lord is happy and approved. But still, the Lord will correct him or adjust things for the purpose of teaching, right, for others. But internally, he is ecstatic, just like Lord Nityananda, and is completely absorbed in happiness with him. He never, and appreciates all these leelas that he can interact. So, now Prabhu Bale Eka Khani Kopina Tomar Deha Iha Bada Icha Achaye Amar. The Lord said, give me a piece of your kopina. I have a great desire to have it. Kopina is the cloth worn by renunciates. Simple cloth around and a cloth to cover, two pieces. So, purport. While traveling to the holy places with one sannyasi, Lord Nityananda formally accepted the principle of wearing brahmachari kopina. Mahaprabhu expressed a desire to beg that kopina, which is the sign of a brahmachari. The wearing of kopin entails the covering the lower part of one's body with the minimum required cloth. Persons who are intoxicated by material enjoyment engage in deceitfulness in the name of civilization and declare the absence of simplicity as gentle manliness by dressing opulently. In order to stop dressing and eating opulently, which are aimed at maintaining adultery, the acceptance of kopin is indicative of the greatness of ashram dharma, the occupational duty of a particular caste. So, that statement about persons intoxicated by material enjoyment engage in deceitfulness in the name of civilization and declare the absence of simplicity as gentlemanly behavior, right? They dress opulently and they eat opulently. There's a discussion, I think it's chapter 11 in Jaiva Dharma, where Advaita Das, formerly Lahiri Mahashai, his old childhood friend comes, Digambar. And when they were children, they were very close, but after they separated, Digambar became a great scholar and important person in the court of the Muslims, the Mughal emperors, right? And he adopted their ways and accepted that their practices were the sign of civilization. And he was aghast at his friend Advaita, or it was, Lahiri, who had become a Vaishnava, and he was criticizing him. Oh, look what's become of you. You're not civilized. And when asked to define civilization, he said it means to dress opulently and have wine and eat meat and all these things. And Advaita says, oh, so you're saying my simple clothes are not civilized? To dress opulently is a sign of civilization. Then the prostitutes are the most civilized because they dress very beautifully, right? And they had arguments like that. And Digambar could not appreciate or understand. But the simplicity of behavior is a sign of civilization, because then people who are not madly pursuing opportunities for opulent dress, acquiring jewelry and many things, big home and fancy things, their minds are not disturbed by that pursuit. Right? The description in the in this description in Jaiva Dharma, when the Vaishya is being described, quotations from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they have a attachment for wealth and are consumed, mad attachment to acquiring more and more wealth, greed for wealth. That is one of the things that makes a Vaishya successful in their field. Right? If they're fortunate Vaishyas, they're also religious and use that wealth for spiritual causes. But so much endeavor. I know devotees that are good devotees, but they're also engaged in business and associating with them, seeing them engaged in business time. Oh, it's so much anxiety, so much endeavor, so much energy, so much distraction. And they want to use their wealth. They use some of it and give donations and all like that. But you're associating with greedy, worldly materialists, right? And you're measuring your success in life on how much wealth you're creating. And there's never any limit to how much you want to get. When you get at one level, you're thinking, oh, if I only get here, then I'm successful, right? Oh, but if I could only, and then once you get there, oh, but look at those guys, that family, their house, you know. I have one friend who had a very nice house in a very nice place in California. But then another friend had gotten a great deal on a much nicer house for about the same money. And he said, oh, man, look at that house. And even though his house was really nice, very complete, but of a size that you didn't have as much work to maintain it. Pretty good, actually. But the other house was like this expansive mansion kind of thing and so much to do. But he's thinking, oh, he's feeling some pinching, right? Hey, good devotee, both of them good devotees, but it's just an example of how these things can affect you, right? Lack of simplicity. And then to have that lifestyle, you also have to dress nicely, nice shoes, nice belt, nice suit, nice watch, good hair, good tie, all these things, you have to be careful for and think about. But what's the sadhu think about? Oh, where's my kopans? 2 little strips of cloth, put them on, and you're walking around. Or, maybe a little tiny gumshoe and a little something over your shoulders. Where am I sleeping? I guess I'll sleep under that tree. Or even in the ashram, right? Simple life. Simpler the better, right? The minimum needed for maintenance. And Srila Prabhupada established that in the temples in the early days. I mean, we had 80 people in one big room on the same floor. No mattresses, maybe a sheet under you. No pillows, no towels. When we got opulent, we got these little cotton cloths that you could dry yourself with, Maybe a blanket, in the winter. No sweaters, no heat in the temple, see your breath. Bare feet, no socks, no boots, going out on Harinam in the snow, right? But gradually getting a few things so that you could do that service, but sometimes without. But always ecstatic and very simple prasad. Just rice, split pea soup, chapatis. The only sabji was a couple of chilies, right? And then on Sunday, something nice. Of course, Sunday is very nice. But because of that simplicity, great happiness. They were blessed by Srila Prabhupada with an infusion. His gratitude was so great for that one point of dedication that he infused his disciples with great happiness in that state. It's possible to imagine. Gurudev sometimes talks about that also, the difference between modern Gaudiya Math and old Gaudiya Math, right? How we have socks and warm chuddars and, a mattress or a bed to sleep on in the cold. But in the old days, no. Sometimes nothing to eat. Just picking leaves off a jackfruit, not jackfruit, those long skinny things. What's moringa called? Those long, really tasty, stringy vegetables. In the West, we call it moringa. What is it? Oh, anyway, very tasty. But the fruits, when they're gone, then just the leaves. Leaves are good for you, but that's what they would eat out of sabji sometimes, only that. So he's talking about this, glorifying Lord Nityananda.
I thought back in the 60s, America was much more.
Oh, yes.
Means like the dollar would buy you a lot more things.
Yes. And people didn't need as much.
They have home.
Didn't need as much.
So if things have deteriorated, how is it possible that you guys couldn't have at least some minimum?
Kali Yuga. Everybody's thinking that civilization's advancing because they're getting more and more things. But actually they're becoming more and more distracted and they're becoming more and more dull. And anyway, so then, Ektabali Prabhutara Kupina Aniya Cholta Kori Chirilena Aneka Korea. After speaking in this way, Lord Chaitanya took Nityananda's kopin and tore it into many pieces. The Lord then personally distributed those pieces to every one of the Vaishnavas. The Lord said, "Tie this piece of cloth on your head." What to speak of others, even the greatest mystic yogis desire this. Nityananda Prasade se Haya Vishnu Bhakti Janiha Krishnara Nityananda Purna Shakti. Simply by the mercy of Nityananda, one obtains devotional service of Vishnu. Know it for certain that Nityananda is the full potency of Krishna. Purport. Mahaprabhu said, "You should know Sri Nityananda Prabhu as the complete potency of Lord Krishna. He is the topmost among the servants of Krishna. Only by his mercy can one achieve devotion to Vishnu. He is the form of Vishnu presiding over the Sandhini potency. Although he is Lord Vishnu himself, he nevertheless serves the Supreme Vishnu. He serves the origin of all Vishnu tattvas. Only by his mercy is the living entity's propensity for worshipping Hari awakened." This is Saraswati Prabhupada's explanation of that statement, that he is actually the original servant, expansion of the original form of Vishnu, although he is Vishnu Tattva himself, and from him all other Vishnu Tattvas are coming. He has that mood of service, right? And he is the presiding personality over the Sandhini Shakti, which is the cause of the existence of everything, right? So, and then only by the mercy of that Nityananda is our propensity for worshiping the Lord awakened. So Mahaprabhu is glorifying him and saying, "Oh, take these remnants, take these things with great respect and honor, serve them, serve Lord Nityananda, and your desire to serve Krishna in a pure way will be achieved." He goes on to say, in his form as the younger sister of Radharani, Sri Nityananda Prabhu nourishes conjugal mellows. That is why Sri Thakur Narottam has said, "He na nitya vinay bai, Radha Krishna paite nahi, Didha kori dara nitya pai." Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. You can't jump over the head of Lord Nityananda, Mahaprabhu. "I'm just interested in Radha Krishna. I don't care about Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda." No, because they came to teach the process of devotion. They came to show it. They came with their associates in all the different rasas to show that. And Lord Nityananda, he can teach all the rasas. He's absorbed in all of them. In Krishna Lila, he tastes Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya as Baladev, and he has a special form as a Nanga Manjari to taste the service of Srimati Radhika, right? And so even that, which we are aspiring for, we are absolutely dependent on Lord Nityananda, also a Nanga Manjari, right? As the Supreme Jagat Guru, Sri Nityananda Prabhu alone is the origin of Guru Tattva. In regards to the devotee Jagat Guru, the spiritual master is an incarnation of Sri Nityananda, who is the manifestation of Sri Chaitanya. The spiritual master is most dear to Lord Krishna because, like Sri Nityananda, he is also a manifestation of Sri Chaitanya. And he is renowned to be as good as Nityananda. The travelers on the path of devotional service do not accept the identification of Nityananda's family through seminal consideration. Right, in other words, there's a group called the Nityananda Vamsa, which claim their connection and purity based on being seminal descendants, because Nityananda had children. and their children had children. But it's not like that. The connection is devotional only. There may be some in that line that are connected devotionally, but the seminal connection is not sufficient. Just like our Srila Prabhupada. He had children, right? But are any of them acharyas in our line? No, no. Advaita Acharya had many sons, but only a few do we recognize, specifically Achyutananda. Some of them deviated. Even Lord Krishna himself, well, as Lord Varaha, had a son with Priti Devi, Mother Earth, but by bad association, that son became a demon, Banasura, right? The son of the Lord, and to teach, to show that principle. The non-devotee smartas who are averse to the service of Vishnu attribute such unreasonable propositions to the family of Nityananda. But the devotees of the Lord are completely against this. The family of Nityananda is based on disciplic succession, Bhagavat Prampara. Since it is not based on seminal succession, many ordinary villagers who were disciples of Virabhadra Prabhu consider themselves as belonging to the family of Sri Nityananda. The book Nityananda Vanksa Vistara, composed by a person from Calcutta at the end of the 19th century, is modern and opposed to history. Now, Mahaprabhu is going to continue explaining Nityananda Tattva. This is also explained in great detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are some verses about Lord Nityananda. But these are the statements of Vrindavan Das Thakur, the direct disciple of Lord Nityananda, and very important, very beautiful. So we're going to stop here and continue this tomorrow. We got up to verse 26 in this chapter. So, thank you all for listening. We offer our obeisance to the direct representatives of Lord Nityananda, our Srila Nityalila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tatsat Sri Simad Abhaya Chararavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and Sri Nityalila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tatsat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to our exalted Rupanuga Varga, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Okay, Haribol, Haribol.